Can Joe Adell hit his way out of a paper bag to make the Angels opening day roster after a good spring training? We have the answer to that and much more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, you might as well take a screenshot of that review and do it for us because we truly appreciate it, and then send us over that screenshot on the Subtext platform. And guess what? You'll have a chance to join our coveted listener league for this season. We've already given away a bunch of spots. We're giving away the last 4 on March 20th. So guys, you're going to want to make sure you're locked on for that. And if you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit the little bell below and subscribe to the channel, and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And guys, real quick, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started today. And guys, we're back talking about some spring training updates. I was going to say I missed the last episode. I'm just chomping at the bit here. Matt and I are so excited. Draft season's right around the corner. Matt, but who are we talking about today first?
All right. We got a fun one. We've made fun of him at the top, but it's kind of truthful and sad, but true. It's Joe Adell. Joe Adell, unfortunately, just couldn't take advantage of, the opportunity he had when Trout went down last year, and was crushing it in the minors before getting the call up. He had 278 at-bats. He had 62 runs. He had 15 doubles, 24 bombs, 57 ribs, 9 stolen bases, and was batting 273. Got the call. Hit about 3 home runs, ribbies and runs were all there and everything, but was batting about 207. Couldn't really take advantage, so he got sent back down. Now he's back at camp, and he's in spring training, having a good spring, I might add. 23 at-bats so far, 3 runs, a single, 3 triples. 3 doubles, a triple, a home run, 4 ribs, 6 strikeouts to no walks, but 2 stolen bases, batting about, 261, striking out about 25% of the time right now. Joe Adell, I think, if he makes the roster, which right now they're not projecting that either, but if he continues the way he is, he should thrust himself onto the field. And I don't know who else they got that can play over besides Mickey Moniak and Trout. I think that third outfield spot should be open for Adell. So I think the man needs to get on the field, and they need to trade him because he's smelling a hell of a lot like Kelnick right now, where it took him a little bit of time in the minors to get his stuff right. It looks like Adell is getting that stuff right. This may be the season. By no means right now am I saying draft him. He's $3.99 anyway. You could pick him with your last pick of the draft as a nice lottery scratcher. But ultimately, he's somebody to keep an eye on. Even if he makes the team and he's not widely drafted, he'll probably be on our famous waiver wire watch list episode right after draft seasons and that first week of baseball, because Joe Adell is such a volatile name with a lot of outcomes, and it could really either hurt your team or bolster your lineup and stats.
Yeah, Matt, I just want to start by saying I fully agree with the sentiment that just trade him at this point. If you're not going to play Adell, trade him. It's kind of at the make or break point. He's going to be 25 this year. Still very young, still the chance to turn his whole career around and, show us the stats we've been waiting to see, because the talent is there with Adell. He's been so good in AAA, and then every time he gets to the majors, never really pans out. And Matt, how could you forget about your boy Taylor Ward? Your boy Taylor Ward is projected to play that third outfielder spot over there for the Angels, and Joe Adell still looks like the odd man looking out. Matt, great breakdown. Just kind of really agree with everything you said there. We're in sync with Adell. If he does make the opening day roster, maybe throw your last pick on him in some of those deeper leagues, 5 outfielder leagues, stuff like that. But otherwise, just keep an eye on him. Throw him on your waiver wire. But let's move on to somebody that's actually a little bit more interesting. Let's talk about Henry Davis, right? Now, the thing with Henry Davis is I believe he's projected to start as their opening day catcher at this point. I know it's been talked about a lot. Andy Rodriguez wound up getting hurt. He's out for the rest of the year. It was going to be, Henry Davis, going into the outfield like he played last year. And then Andy was going to play catcher, but Andy's hurt. Might as well throw it over to Henry Davis. Kind of want to see what roster resource says on there, because honestly, I would throw him out there. I don't like you said before with the Angels. I mean, but I think I'm right this time. Is that who else is going to play catcher for them? I don't think they really have anyone else on that roster that is going to, roster resource has Henry Davis projected in there. So I think, the upside's there. He was former #1 pick, going to be 24 years old, surprisingly only a year younger than Adell. But Henry Davis, 62 games last year in the bigs, 225 at-bats, 27 runs, 10 doubles, 7 homers, 24 RBIs, 3 steals. The walk to strikeout ratio wasn't horrible with 25 walks to 69 strikeouts. Did only hit 213, but this is a guy that could turn it around. He's always hit for a good batting average in the minors, had a very good college career. I think Henry Davis is somebody we need to keep our eyes on. I think you're going to get him like super late too, honestly, when it comes to catchers, because there's actually catchers fairly deep this year. You can really wait at catcher. And I don't think he's going to start the year with eligibility at catcher on most platforms. It might still be outfield. Yeah, as I was going to say, I think it still might be outfield that he only eligible out now that I'm looking a little bit deeper into it. But, you could always take that speculative ad in those 2 catcher leagues, throw him at the end of your bench and kind of see where things go. I really do like Henry Davis for this year.
I mean, ultimately, he has a path to play every single day. So even when they're giving him a break at catcher, he's going to be in the outfield or he's going to be playing DH. I mean, the way he's performing right now in spring training, I'm absolutely in love with. So Henry Davis all day, and it's only going to take about 15 games for him to get that eligibility. So he's going to ADP right now at pick 300. Like, I don't mind stashing him at the end. Even if I miss out on a top end catcher, like my favorite target, Logan O'Hoppe. Henry Davis is going to be a guy I'm going to scoop up with and just kind of see what I got at the end of the draft. If my catcher is not performing well, yeah, I'm waiting for Henry Davis to go, and then boom, I'm ready to rock. And the way he's performing right now, Dom, you didn't read off his minor league stats. I mean, not his spring training stats, did you?
No, I did not. No.
All right, so he has 18 at bats. He has 4 runs, 3 singles, 3 bombs, 8 ribs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. He's walking about 10% of the time, striking out 23% of the time. He's batting 333 right now with an OPS of 1.233. Like, he's killing it right now in spring. Like, Henry Davis is getting the business and giving everybody the business. He can be very valuable, very high end prospect too. So, like, I'm a big fan. Like, he gets catcher eligibility. It's going to be a cheat code this year because you know what this is smelling to me like? Salvador Perez a couple years ago. Everyday play, big pop, big everything. He could be the next one. I don't know if you agree with my sentiment, but
I mean, I don't know about this year, but I could see maybe a couple years down the line where Henry Davis has like a 35 homer season. Maybe not. I don't think he has the kind of pop that Salvi had in his prime, but definitely could be a 30+ homer guy with a strong batting average and just be really like a standout at the catcher position.
Well, that's kind of where I was alluding to. Not like the same production, but like that valuable catcher that plays every single day.
Exactly. I agree. Yes. 100%.
And can actually contribute out of that position where like a lot of it is pretty much like a dead fish. And you all know what I mean by that. But
former #1 overall pick too. He has the pedigree, as we keep saying. Former #1 overall pick. The guy can be an elite catcher if he keeps that eligibility going. Because I'm not sure when ND comes back. I'm not sure what they're going to do. But if he sticks that catcher, everybody watch out.
Yeah, no. So like I'm pretty excited to draft this kid. So let's see what happens, especially since he's free 99 and it's going to be a lottery scratcher. I'm all about it. But normally we'd take this out to 10 minutes, but we're right there, and I don't feel like starting a new take before just being cut off about halfway through. We got Eloy Jimenez coming up, James Wood and Zach Geloff, and a whole other guys that are really performing well in the spring training right now. But before that, we do have an air break for you. And guys, we got Factor. Get started with your resolutions with Factor. So ready for the new year. Factor is ready to eat meals delivered, takes the stress out of meal planning and set yourself up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef crafted. I'm not reading that word. Approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, plus veggie, and more. Plus over 55 weekly add-ons. You'll have a ton of nutrition and flavorful options to kickstart your resolution. Stress less over meaningless in the new year. Meaningless meal times in the new year. Factor is no prep, no mess, meal free up to times otherwise spent shopping, cooking, cleaning up. No more wasting time in the kitchen. Not only does Factor offer fast, simple solutions when I'm too busy to cook, they also help me stay on top of my goals with offering like protein and keto. I can stay on track all day long. This is definitely going to come in handy in the new year with the goals I have. Head to factormeals.com/locked on MLB50 and use the code locked on MLB50 to get 50% off. That code is locked on MLB50 and factormeals.com/locked on MLB50 to get $50 off, 50% off. And guys, Locked On has launched its first ever Locked On's lost its first ever national 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you, covering 24/7, covering sports 24/7, top stories of the day with local experts on Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national 24/7 streaming channel. And guys, the most important one. This is not part of the script, so that's why I'm not stumbling through my words. We're introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. Dive into this offseason with Dom and I as we provide you with tier-based rankings with over 100 outfielders and starting pitchers ranked. You'll also have exclusive access to our prospect insight, sleepers, breakout, bust, and personalized draft grades. When you've got the burning questions, we've got the answers. And as the season unfolds, rely on our dynamic content to get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of that fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club today on Subtext, where your path to victory begins. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy experience to new levels. And since you're going to do this, and it's the only part of this I got right today, you're going to join because you need to win your leagues. And then you're going to give us a review on Apple and then take a screenshot. And you're going to do it before the 20th so you can get in that listener league and then have a shot at winning one of these hats. So
come on, guys, do it.
Yeah,
do
come
it.
on, do it.
Do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Do it. All right. But anyway, enough's enough. Normally I'd pass this off, but I am excited to talk about the next guy.
Yeah, go for it, brother. Go for it.
Yeah, I won't stumble through this part. Eloy Jimenez, ladies and gentlemen. Can this guy just not stub a big toe, tear a shoulder, and all the other laundry list of weird injuries this dude loves to get throughout the season to keep him from fantasy greatness? Eloy Jimenez is actually killing it right now in spring. And this is such a tease for me because you know what's going to happen. It's going to be 3 weeks into the season. The guy's going to get hurt, and I'm just going to. So my guy has 22 at bats, 4 runs, nine singles, 2 doubles, a bomb, 9 ribs, a walk, 2 strikeouts. Striking out 8.7% of the time, which is fantastic, with an average of 545. Okay, Eloy Jimenez, we all know what he could be if he actually does decide to stay healthy. It could be 30 to 40 bombs. It could be a great average. It could be a whole bunch of doubles, triples, runs. Well, not really runs, but probably more on the ribby side because we'll have, Luis Roberts and whatnot. But, it's just one of those things where Eloy has all the upside in the absolute world. And he's somebody that is becoming more relevant to pick because of all the injuries that are happening and how ugly outfield is as a whole. And I like to see that he's performing. The one thing I do want to see for him is that they mainly keep him in DH. If he's in DH, I feel a lot more comfortable drafting him. They talked about doing it at the beginning of the year last year, but he was fighting to stay on the field. Hopefully he has just realized that he has a body of a 7-year-old man that could just hit a ball really far. We shall see. But right now, today, I have him ranked I think my 35th outfielder, but it's becoming more and more relevant that you're going to have to pick him just based off of his performance and, just the layout of outfield.
Yeah, Matt, you pretty much hit all the main talking points on Eloy. He did play only 14 games in the outfield last year, so I mean, I don't know. He just kind of gives me that Jazz Chisholm vibe, I guess almost like him, Jazz and Eloy are like the new Mondesi and Byron Buxton. But, I don't mean to wish that upon anybody. But if you said it, if Eloy stays healthy, 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, could hit 280, and then it just, he winds up being a bargain at where he's coming off the board right now as the 46th outfielder, pick 192. There's just a lot of room to profit there, and I'm not scared to pick him there, honestly. I really think there is a lot of room to profit off Eloy. But, Matt, you hit all of the main points, so I'm not going to spend much more time on him. Good job there, brother. Let's move on to James Wood, though. James Wood is somebody who's super, super interesting. Currently the 14th prospect in all of baseball, outfielder for the Washington Nationals, went over there in that Juan Soto trade from the Padres. And this guy is just a mountain of a human being. He is 6'6", 234, but he's like jacked. He's just like a diesel 6'6", 234, like pure, like 5% body fat kind of guy. Honestly, the comp that I make, if he really hits like that high end upside, is the Aaron Judge. That's what he could do. He could hit 50 home runs, and has a little bit of speed to him. He's not like super fast or anything, but it's not like he's slow either. So a guy that can steal you 10 bags, hit you 50 home runs, and then just depends if this national teams can really pull it together when you're talking about runs and RBIs. But I could see him being 270, 275 batting average type guy. He's hit very well in the minors so far, and he's also raking right now in spring training, so just somebody to keep an eye on. I don't know if he makes that opening day roster, but when that little deadline comes around, maybe just so the Nationals get another year on him, they might hold off. But who knows, maybe they go the other way and they go for Dopp to keep him in that lineup for opening day and get that draft pick compensation. We'll see where things go, but I love James Wood, somebody I'm keeping an eye on at the moment, not really drafting in anything but the deepest of leagues.
I don't see a path to play this year until September, truthfully. They're in an organization that's in no rush to call up their guys, and has every incentive to keep guys under contract and have options just based off the fact that they're in no position to win anything. So, that division is absolutely rough to begin with. So, why would they call up James Wood essentially? So, I just don't see it this year. I think a September call up is very relevant, and you'll be getting that alert on subtext the second he does. So, let's just see what happens with him. He's going to be a beast. I mean, look what the Yankees did with Dominguez too. They didn't call him up and he was mashing. So, it's just one thing to go. But I'm going to move on. Let's talk about Zach Geloff here. Zach Geloff was smoking the ball in spring so far. Geloff is somebody I'm actually really enjoying. I'm really hoping to draft in a bunch of my leagues this year, because I think, he's a kind of like a sneaky pick at second base. He's not your prototypical, second baseman, and I like what he's doing so far. 21 at bats, 8 runs, 3 singles, 3 doubles, 2 bombs, 4 ribs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, batting 381, OPS at a 1.268. Like, I'm loving this OBP at freaking 458. Like, all these numbers are spot on and indicating what this kid's going to do. Build off of last season and kind of roll. Yes, for fantasy purposes, my guy is going to have limitations and runs and ribbies based off the fact he's just not playing for the A's. But, I mean, to be honest, he's going at a really nice price. And the way he's performing, he reminds me a lot of like a Matt Olson-esque type, where like he's still performing and he was still very, very relevant on the A's, even though he wasn't like the guy, like wasn't like a top end fantasy producer, but he was good enough to be super relevant and be desirable to pick at the first base. Geloff is that for me at second base. I'm not going to worry about the runs and ribbies all that much because he's going to produce it for himself. And somebody has to get on base. They're not that bad. So, Zach Geloff can, if he walks away with 80 and 30, and I think he get 20 stolen bases to boot with 250 batting average, like he returned on that draft pick and then some, and that's out of your second base position. I'm all about it every day.
Geloff's an interesting one for me. He's actually somebody I cooled off on a little bit. I kind of really came out in the offseason like hot out of the gate, like top 10 second baseman. Geloff is a beast. And then as I started to go through my deep dives, as I do my positional rankings every year, and he's just somebody that as I dove deeper, I liked a little bit less. Because, as Matt kind of mentioned, I don't know if 80-80 is in the cards for a Zach Geloff on that, A's team. I could see more of like a depending on where he hits in the lineup, I think he'd probably hit maybe like second in that lineup. So I could see the runs being pretty solid, maybe like a 75, maybe 75, 80 runs. I could agree with that. But then the RBIs, maybe like 60 if we're lucky. And the batting average is something I don't know if it's sticky. When you look at the underlying stuff, it doesn't really look like he ended up a little bit higher on the batting average than the underlying stuff says. Maybe he's an overperformer. We've seen that before. I'll have to see a little bit more from him. I have him probably somewhere around my like 12th second baseman. I do have to double check. And you could profit off of him. You definitely could profit. I think he could be a 30-30 guy easy. But the batting average and the counting stats are something that I'm a little unsure of when it comes to Geloff. But before we move on and we actually move into some sneaky starting pitchers that have been making some noise in spring training, names you're not going to want to miss, we do have one last ad for you guys. And guys, we're talking Amazon Fire TV. Fire TV is your destination for sports, live TV, games, highlights, and in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experiences with smart TVs as well as the Fire Stick TV that you can plug into your existing TV that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free TV, live TV as well. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're not going to want to miss a moment with Fire TV. Fire TV recently created their Fire TV channels to deliver a consistent supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us here at Locked On and most of the big league pro sports and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all of the games, analysis, highlights, and more to keep up with. Up to date with on all of the latest in the world of sports with March Madness, NBA, MLB, and a lot more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV with all their channels and on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV.
Wow.
Geez,
Okay.
I struggled through that one, guys. That was a tough one. That was a real tough one for me, Matt. I think you just got to take over after that.
All right, it's all good. You know, we're gonna have a rewrite session, I think, this weekend.
Oh yeah, that one
Yeah,
needs a little rework.
yeah. But yeah, because we're both just struggling today. But it is what it is. Let's
Hey,
keep
it happens,
moving.
man. It happens. I think we're just excited about baseball's here. Matt
Yeah,
and I have a huge league. Our keepers lock tomorrow. I know you guys can feel that sentiment.
yeah. And I got a great team, so I'm ready to rock. So let's keep going. Let's start
Hey,
talking
wait,
about
Matt,
some
real
guys.
quick. Who's the defending champ? Who's the defending champ?
It's called Lucky.
Oh, okay.
Garrett.
All right. Yeah. Even though I won all my leagues, but it's all right.
All right, Garrett Whitlock here. Garrett Whitlock here. He's an interesting one. It's not somebody I'm really like drafting. Honestly, not even really on my radar. But he's having a wait, how do I put this? A good spring. That's all I could say for now. Um, I'm not really like too happy with. Oh, I gotta hit that button. I'm not like too excited to draft him, but at the same time, we gotta highlight him. Boston pitcher. If you're not sure who he is, 8 innings pitched. He has 10 Ks, which is nice. He has an ERA of 4.5, K per nine of 11.3, a WHIP of 1. Like, I mean, yes, the ERA is inflated, but again, this is spring. He's pitching probably about like 2-3 innings at a time, honestly. Like what he started 3 games. So, you factor that over 8 innings, he's doing what, 2.5. So, give him a little bit more time as they stretch him out. We'll see what he's actually about. And also too during spring, I really don't focus too much on ERA. I look at velocity, I look at, spin rate, I look at it. Are they trying a new pitch? These are all the factors that come in. Whitlock isn't somebody I'm like running out there to get, but I also do like Whitlock just based off of the fact that, he's a sneaky little option you can get in a deeper league.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like Whitlock and like the thing is that he has good stuff too. The velocity is pretty good. Usually sits around 96 on average. The off speed stuff is pretty good as well. And the thing is, he's a big guy, 6'5", 222, gets good extension. So, a guy that already throws 96 when you have good extension, and if you're not even sure what extension is, it's just how far your reach is to like how close you can get to the mound, right? So how far your arm length actually gets to the mound. Because if you're releasing the ball closer to the mound, it takes less time to get there, and you got to make that decision quicker as a hitter. So Garrett Whitlock is somebody who actually has kind of all of the stuff that you like to see. Still 27 years old. Somebody that has been talked about, over the last few years. Had a really good 2022, had a good 2021. Last year was a little bit banged up. I don't think the numbers really reflect, how good Garrett Whitlock actually is. And to be honest, as I scroll through here, he's probably going for like $3.99. You get him as one of your last pitchers. Lucas Giolito's down. He definitely has a spot. But let's move on to this next guy. Let's talk about Josiah Gray, another guy that's having a good spring. 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, has looked really sharp so far. Has shown flashes over the year, has yet to really put it together. Not somebody I'm targeting, but just another name. As we go through spring training, things are looking good. You're seeing all the right signs from him. 3.91 ERA last year as a 25-year-old. Actually did make the All-Star team. Going to be 26 this year. Let's see where things go.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that sentiment, honestly. I don't really want to get too deep because I also want to get through these next couple of guys here. We got our next guy here, which is Taylor McGill. Well,
Yeah, you got it right first time. Tyler McGill.
Okay. So he's having a nice little spring. Why does this thing hate me today? So here we go. He had 8 innings pitched. He has a win, a loss, whatever. He has 1 earned run within his 8 innings pitched. He has 13 Ks, which is really nice. He has a .75 whip. K per 9 of 14.6. Started 2 games. I like what he's doing. I just don't know what I'm going to do with him as a whole. Let's put it that way. Everybody has a lot of questions because he was, a very interesting pick. Whether it was last year or the year before, where he came in hot and then kind of fell off.
Both years.
Right. So like he's like somebody that's like really interesting as just a fantasy option. It's just the guy seems to just fall off a cliff. So I don't know how much I'm really just like buying his performance. Because you look at all his underlying numbers in terms of like FIP and ERA and like how many home runs and stuff he gives up. Like that's where it's like it's kind of key to like, okay, this is how he got to where he was towards the end of the season in his final numbers. So like, I don't know if I'm really running out to get it. If anything, he's a guy, if he's there at the end of the draft, I'll take, and I'll ride it out until he kind of like flares out, but I'm not going out and targeting him. So like, I'm not overreacting on him because I don't really believe in the talent because he hasn't been able to get it done in 3 years.
Yeah, McGill's kind of like a flyer. He's an interesting guy. As Matt said, the underlying stuff doesn't look great for him, but somebody's got to win games for the Mets, right? So in your NL only leagues and stuff like that, you can give McGill a look. He's another big guy, 6'7". Throws the ball fairly hard, sits around 95. Breaking stuff isn't great though. So we'll kind of see where things go with McGill, but just a deep league play. We still think about you guys in those deep leagues, so we try and get you some of those deeper cuts. The next guy though, actually kind of interesting. Let's talk about Ronaldo Lopez, right? Ronaldo Lopez was a highly touted prospect, came up with the White Sox, never really panned out over there. He had some good years though. He actually had some years where, if you've played fantasy for a while, you probably remember the name. It's actually crazy to think that this guy's 30 years old because I remember when he was, coming up and a lot of excitement about him. But, you're going to be 30 this year, goes over to the Braves. It's an interesting, a spot. The last 3 years, Ronaldo Lopez has had a 3.43 ERA, a 2.76 ERA, a 3.27 ERA. Most of those games coming out of the bullpen, which is, interesting, but he looks like he's transitioning over to a starter again. He's had a pretty strong spring so far. 5 innings, 3 strikeouts, and 0.8 whip. Actually only 1 walk, which is great to see. So Ronaldo Lopez, a guy that I'm just kind of keeping my eyes on. I want to see where things go with him. The Braves are known to work wonders with starting pitchers, and that's Ronaldo Lopez.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm touching him. I think he's more of like a watch
Deep
list
cut,
kind of
deep
guy.
cut.
Yeah, maybe like a 15-man like NFBC draft, draft and hold kind of type deal. Where like
I
you take the
think he's
upside.
gonna be more useful than that.
I don't know. I mean, the guy hasn't
Don't
been
forget,
a
this
starter.
is a guy that sits 98. He touches 100. If he can figure it out, man, there's a lot of upside.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, how quick is he going to be fatigued? Because you look at his innings, and you're going to ask him to be a starter. So, like, there's
Yeah.
that whole thing of like, okay, Is there an inning limit? Is he going to be more of an opener versus a full starter? So like it's a weird thing for Ronaldo, and I'm not trying to touch him with the 10-foot pole outside of in drafts. I'll pick him up if I like scooped up like Kershaw and I had to send him right to the IL. But anyway, Dom, let's get out of
Yeah,
here.
that's what I'm saying. Like a last pick type of thing with Fernando Lopez. There is talent there. But guys, that's all for us today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. But guys, until next time, see ya.
Peace.